Okay, ako may na-okay ito anan. Kishpin kikish ko na baten ako. Karon Shmon kape tashtam. Kay wain ma corporation. Kishpin a Michif Language Association we mat staya ako. Kawit tamago na antan shin ma ki tanchi chipmach pa ye kiwan ma. Karon.
Thanks again. That was sure a delicious lunch. I enjoyed that very much. We just need a nap now, right? Okay. Okay, well, the good news is it is possible for a group that wants to form to do that and become a nonprofit corporation. The bad news is none of you will get rich by joining it because it's for the purpose of other than generating a profit. I'm going to go over these in very general terms because I'm not a lawyer and I wouldn't do this. What we asked for when we asked for the funding to have this meeting and to be of any assistance we could to Michif speakers to becoming an association, we asked for the legal fees to see the group incorporated if that's the direction they wanted to go in. So I'm just going to give you some very, I guess, basic guidelines on what it takes for incorporation. What would happen then is that the group would have to decide, yes, that's what they want to do. It would give the group legal status, and then they could enter into contracts, buy land, borrow money, have bank accounts in its own name. Another advantage is that you don't have personal liability. It would be the liability of the group, and that you can ensure that the group continues even if the members change. It'd be like, I guess, lots of things that you know about that. And that you have the ability to bring a legal action in the name of the group, and that the chances of receiving government grants may increase because of the stability the organization appears to have. So the days are kind of gone where anything other than a group can really get any funding. Like even if one person has a really brilliant idea, they usually have to be part of something else to get the funding for it. An unincorporated association is an agreement between individuals. Okay? So what would happen if you became a nonprofit corporation is that you could issue receipts to donors. The purposes of, this is what we'd have to do, is we'd have to be able to tell them why you want to organize. And the relief of poverty is one, which I didn't think really fit. The advancement of education, like this is what nowadays is called Indigenous knowledge. As one of the Aboriginal peoples of Canada, the Métis, the Michif people, have a wealth of knowledge that they want to promote. They not only want to save it and ensure that it exists forever, but they want others to be able to learn it. So this is a good fit here. The advancement of education. The other one is certain other purposes that benefit the community in a way the courts have said are charitable. So you would be giving this back to the Métis community as a way of reclaiming and renewing the Métis and Michif culture. So there's 2 criteria out of 4 that you already have for why you would want to join. So then what the lawyer would have to do is show the way the organization will meet the purposes, and then put a statement of activities, how you would accomplish this. And we kind of got there because in somewhere along the line we would have to say that the Michif Speakers Association wants to form because it will. Well, here's 2 things, education and culture back to the community. And it will achieve this by, there's your ideas up there. And then you got to get into the nuts and bolts of it, which is who could be a member, how would it be governed, like would you have voting or would you use traditional consensus decision making? Would you have a steering committee or would you have an executive? Like those are kind of nitpicky little things, but somewhere along the line you need to make those decisions because things have to, in order to get going, this group is too large for it to just say, hope somebody organizes something for the future. You'd have to have a few people that were going to help guide the group, and that's usually who makes your executive or your steering committee. So then the steps for forming is, this is what the lawyer would do. GDI can't do this. So it's following the selection and reservation of a corporate name to file a nonprofit articles of incorporation with the proper government department, and if you intend on applying for charitable status, important that the articles contain the required clauses to make sure your articles will qualify for charitable status. So it's already getting into legal talk that is beginning not to make sense to people like myself. And then it says that you have to have at least 3 directors. Okay, so the smallest your steering committee or executive could be is 3 people. And you pick a corporate name, but like you wouldn't pick one that already exists, because then they tell you, sorry, you can't have that name because somebody else has it. And then what we would do is GDI would use that funding that it got to take your idea forward, get you incorporated, and then you could be applying for the same kind of funding that the cultural organizations are already getting, because if your goals, there's no reason why this speakers group could not oversee these goals. Like there's people like our staff here who say, okay, well, in order to make a book, you need to do this. Like that's what we do for a living. So if you said, well, we want to make a Michif book about traditional cooking, we could help you do that, because it isn't just pulling the idea together. It's how would you get it written in Michif? How would you work with a printer? How would you get it into a bookstore? Those kind of things. And that's where some other group would that. For something like how do you make a video, we don't know how to do that either, but we have relationships with people that are our service providers, like the Department of Media and Technology filming today. We always get them to do that, because we can't wear that many hats. We don't have that many skills, or else it wouldn't be done very well. So anyways, those are the legal kind of ramifications. And excuse me if someone here's got lots of experience doing that. If someone wanted to speak further to that, I'm perfectly willing to have somebody add to that, because I don't know that much. It would be the kind of thing that I would take to a lawyer, because I would be afraid of doing it wrong. So what we would like you to do is think about that as we go over these ideas that you came up with today of why should the association exist and what would it do to fulfill its goals. And what we were putting these up while lunch was concluding. And on the pink cards, we saw some themes or major ideas that were emerging out of it. So it seemed like some of the tables had some similar ideas. Almost every table mentioned that our youth need to be encouraged to learn Michif. So we put youth up there as a card. Then we would ask one of the groups that we're going to regroup you to take that youth card on the pink and find all the white and yellow cards that relate to that. Put them into a grouping, go back to your newly formed group and sit down for a half an hour and decide how would we add to this. These are good ideas. Now, if that was our task, because a lot of times in associations you get, what are they called? Reference groups. You get a committee that only works on one goal for the whole group. Because if we said, okay, everybody work on everything, you don't usually get it done. Or what if your pet area is the written language? And another person's pet area is they want to interview elders. So you can't have everybody doing the same thing. So even though this might not be your favorite area today, we'd ask you to go in there with the mindset that I've been assigned this task by the Michif Speakers Association, that we would work on ways to encourage youth to learn Michif. Here's some of their ideas. We also think this could be done by doing this. And so what you'll be doing is adding to the knowledge that's already shown on the table. How we're going to do that is we're going to ask you to come up and stand behind your birth month. So, Norma, everybody that's in January can come stand right there. Okay.
Whose birthdays are in January? One at the Shaki Majavi. That's Benny Bowie.
Only 2. See, we'll go for February 3.
Three.
3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? 3? let's see how many are for February.
February, one of more February shot. Any opposed? Hey, go. One on mod Margaret shot mod March.
Okay, let's put those 3 months at this table.
Okay. 3 months
January,
of that?
February, March.
Okay, yeah, well, the 3 of
You guys will be somewhere soon.
February.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Ones are coming.
Get on the top. Mois d'avril, one next shot, mois d'avril. Aqui acho que eu. April. Okay, what is that? Irma is that? One on one May at the shot. And yeah. Bien, vení por usted. March, June, one of the shots. Okay, then that's what she got a time. What's the move up there? March, July, one of the shots.
January, February, March here.
July. Yeah, July. What August? One of the shots in August. Okay. In July and August, what happened now? July? What's September? September. What's September? No September birthdays? Okay. Gerald. October. Okay, October. November. One of the good shots you want November.
Which one are you?
January.
Did you get a month yet? Did they call you a month yet?
Victoria.
Which month did you want?
Well, she got to come and sit here.
Okay, December. One of the shots. Okay, October. You have your own. December. November.
Much of us got over here.
Then bonds.
What's this one? Oh, it's January. We got to get one of those. We get one of those cards there. Then we're going to put all our ideas together and write them up and put them up again. January? Or from here on, we'll take over.
January. What day?
open and I.
Right here. Oh.
Everything that you want.
Yeah. 39.
How's Alice doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good, yeah.
Is she working up there?
She's retired now, 2 years. The second year, yeah. So I'm going up there tomorrow. That's where I live. I live with her. Okay, I'll do that.
How many of us? There's got to be someone to take notes. November.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
November and December here.
Yes, good.
Yeah, 3 stops.
We need someone to take notes for us.
7 typical. 7 typical. 7
Robin,
Yeah. John on. John on. John on.
and Calvegan.
Lay bumps.
No, in Calvegan.
Lay bumps.
Yeah, no need.
For sure. You go here. We're on the side of the dig, but we took the Michif for youth. So we took the Michif for youth. Because we need to promote our youth. We need to get something out there for the youth, for the young people. What year? We're going to be the next one. We're going to be running this organization. We'll be gone in third ward. What year?
Oh, yeah.
What day?
January 10th. 1946.
Select them amongst the pink cards, and what you're going to do is consider yourselves a reference expert and try to come up with as many ideas just around that one thing.
So what do you have to do? What you have to do is
We'll have to sing happy
the
birthday.
language to them.
Okay,
First of all, we got to try to get what?
I don't deserve anything.
Oh, she has to do something. But we have to be stronger about it. I think we have to get the ones that are going around.
My mom only knew sort of swear words before I went those. That's what she shared with us.
They keep coming to me. I can see why. You got to learn,
I'm crushed.
we have to get
Oh, I think it was to protect myself. I had to say it once.
we got to get these. We have to get them for the elders. We have to get them for the kids.
that's like,
We have to get people out of the hard. Kapsuski, ja?
Ki owe ko chamachu shbe geek en maka ki utna mek en mala kat coller de rose chamachu shbe geek ki owe tap schot de pechta mek en matan shei techta mek ki owe chu shbe ha mek en mat dal wat kat de wow
Keep it. Hey, you're cheating there.
She didn't have a marker up. Maybe there's some there.
Yeah, I'm a chef.
Michif put really at there, so.
Galapwet.
Kimotin na tell si dal. Kimotin dal. Yeah, on each thing, yeah. Just flip that one over. Oh yeah, okay. Thank you.
You got a daughter in Saskatchewan? You have a daughter?
No, I think you're supposed to write. What for them? I think you're supposed to write what they're all married. What you want that?
Oh, shucks. Your daughter, she drove you here?
I think you're supposed to write.
No, they're not here. There's two in Yorkton, one in Brandon, she's a nurse, and then the other one in Slave Lake.
But you're from Manitoba, eh?
I come from Manitoba, yeah. Penskart.
The city of Benskart.
That's near Turtle Mountain, eh? Near Russell.
I got 7 boys.
That's the one NCI? NCI station?
This one here, we're going to sign you guys. First you had a choice, now we're going to sign you for those.
Oh, that's what you were.
Oh, well, that's close enough. Thank you.
You got what's that? Program, the Indian program?
It's, PPM there? It's, tribal, what's his name? Nelson Berg.
Nelson Berg.
I can't remember the name of his.
Oh yeah, the circle, something
That's
circle.
it. That's the one. Indigenous
Sharing
circle.
circle. Indian circle.
Sharing circle.
And so using the
We can get on there. Maybe get on there.
should I put that with TV?
Nelson Berg, yeah.
Yeah, that's a guy. That's one way to get out, because a lot of people watch that.
Circle. A lot of people do, yeah.
Another thing with promotions is language festival, Michif language festival.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
Sunday, yeah, I listened to radio. Oh, Nelson Berg too.
Language festival. With the Saskatoon.
How do you do that?
On the radio or like?
It's almost like this.
In the evening, but only afternoon.
Right.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock in the morning.
And you invite Joe Public to come and see you so that they yeah, there's prizes, that's right. Like students or the Michifs, then they want to do something because there's prizes and all kinds of stuff.
But that's not really cheap.
Okay, some more on promotion?
Any more promotions here?
I thought he was an Indian guy.
Any more promotions? Anything else? So far, what we got?
Using the media, TV, Indigenous Circle, publications, making newsletters, radio stations, and
New Breed.
and a Michif Language Festival.
New Breed, so you put a New Breed here.
But, okay, but that's just...
already?
Do we have a festival?
we have a
we
new
just- we have a winter festival. We just had our winter
That's not for
festival.
Michif language. We can have
Is
it.
it in a language though?
Yeah.
That's what we're forming that.
What about games?
Promotion through games?
Bingo game using the Michif language. Not in a hurry.
Call out the numbers in Michif.
Yeah.
Has to be en français, I guess. That's all right.
You can't say Michif there. You can't say no.
I'll say games
No such
here, and then say
So what do I guess I know how to call it? That's
I.E.
the Michif. We don't-
bingo.
How to call it Michif.
I don't even know what
I
it's
don't,
called.
but there's no such animal as far as I know.
I got it from
French or français.
Same as names.
Yeah.
You can only say where you are.
Yeah.
Michif,
This is
Lady, or
for
whatever it is.
publication, promotion,
You
you're
can't change
saying?
that.
Promotion.
Harvey, yeah, Harvey.
For the public?
Yeah, that's not Michif again.
Is that for the public or for the younger generation?
Anybody.
Anybody. Absolutely
Okay.
anybody.
Oh.
If they want to
From
come,
1 month old
they
to
want to come
90,
to our
whatever.
bingos, they better learn how to talk Michif or they won't be able to. They won't read it. They won't read it. It well gives them incentive. We could put the bingo caller could call it in Michif, but you know the way things are these days. I mean, you can see it on television anyway. Yeah, put a symbol up. People know what a 2 is, no matter how you say it, right? It's a 2.
Yeah, it's a 2, yeah.
I mean, it still looks the same.
Well, what I was really seriously thinking about for promoting to the younger generation, the nice thing would be to have a summer camp
Yep.
way out in the country somewhere and pitch up some tents and live there for about 3-4 days.
Yeah, and learn about
with the kids
It's the
and
daily life.
snare rabbits and
These are for youth or for little
cook outdoors and clean your living quarters and wash your clothes and hang them on the
line outside, yeah.
on the barbed wire fence.
That's what we
You know?
used to do.
Yeah, everything that we had done, we can try.
And don't speak
and
nothing about
cooking
Michif over there in the camp.
They don't
Yeah.
understand you.
That's the thing, yeah.
Yeah.
They'll learn.
They'll learn,
And to chop wood and make a fire outside for cooking.
Yeah, that's true.
And then also to have like talking circles, sit around and talk to the kids about our how we lived when we
Our way of
were
life.
How about sharing our history with our the
sharing
kids?
our history, by
Like
sitting
our own
around.
personal history, because
After-
they're a little bit different, but they're all the same when you
Yeah.
come down right down to it.
Like after they've done their work, like after they've washed clothes and cooked
Yeah,
and whatever, and
then you
then spare
sit
time,
around,
sit
yeah.
around and share our
Around the
culture.
campfire and history and culture. Yeah.
Storytelling.
Yeah.
And then like we
I'm gonna
can
put that-
throw in a lot of Michif, like to speak a little bit of English and throw in a lot of Michif so that they can
Pick up the words.
pick up the words like
A lot
that,
of
you
people,
know.
like Michif, you know. That's honestly good.
I'm gonna-
Our
this
people,
is
a
another
lot,
summer
a
camp.
lot of
I'm
people
gonna
that can't read those are people.
And then they can make
There's a lot of times
songs
that
and
I
skits.
like myself. I can
Oh, that's
I don't-
good.
Yeah.
I can read.
Yes. Yeah. Play guitar and sing around the bonfire.
That's what we used to do. Play guitar
And
and
a lot.
Yeah.
Where I
sit
come
around
from,
the
there's a lot of people that
bonfire.
can read.
Mostly to
No,
keep
and
the
a lot of
mosquitoes
cousins I can
away.
Yeah. Gotta
But they played still.
big smoke.
Yeah, make
Keep
big
the-
smoke.
That's
the
something we need
mosquitoes.
to class in school, man. That's what I've been doing.
And then keep
Every
going,
day,
getting
one
bigger and
each
bigger.
day, you know.
And I don't know that we should, we didn't say here, do we want this for youth only or for anybody?
Anybody.
For anybody, yeah.
Anybody.
For anybody.
And everybody can bring their children and their grandchildren.
For
to these
everyone,
places.
right.
Yeah, because we need the older people to speak to the younger.
Right, but that leaves the rest of us in the middle, like, oh, but I think that's great for everyone. And they should be ongoing. Like, I mean, a person should be able to take their family there every year.
Every year, yeah,
How big it
exactly.
gets.
Yeah.
Going.
Every
When the
summer,
kids are on
during
summer
summer
holidays, that's when you
holidays.
got them over there, yeah.
But that's what, most of these things, clubs now, that's what they're doing. They kick out every year.
So it's
Once you get them going.
ongoing, and, okay, we're getting off promotions.
There's lots of programs
You know, okay, when I'm Michif speaks, whether they can win the way. You know, I don't know just how we can put that. There was, but there's nobody there left. Where's that? In Crooked Lake. Oh yeah. South of Yorkton. About
7.
yeah, something like that. Eh? You know where Crooked Lake is? Yeah, that's where I was from originally. But now I'm in Alberta now. Pardon me?
But that died off already.
Oh yeah, it died off. There's been one family there. There was maybe about 30, 35 families when I was growing up. It was just a little community. And nobody. Yeah, we there. It's in there, roughly enough. In the 1900s, I got a book. Peter Barker brought me a book. And it's written on there, you know, it's got all kinds of names. Yankli Michif. Lima Kai Kakiwanigili Michif. Anoch Kakiuli Makai Dollar Zarvayawa Kakiuli Treti. You know? And
they're all greedy now.
Tandema Kakauchipaig Kagil Treti which
It's called that reserve, not Broadview, but which William lives there. Oh, I don't remember. Anyway, that reserve there, Kakioli Michif.
Kakioli Michif.
There was only 8, 2, 3 livres.
Yeah, livres. Yeah. By Broadview?
Yeah,
there's houses, there's such.
Well, that's all the same here.
Well, there's different, there's Sacramento houses, the job, there's another one. Yeah, there's 4. There's 4 reserves there. Oh, but then the reserves in Shishana, across the river, that's where. Oh, you should have been here, eh? Yeah. Oh, come then you're like that. I don't believe you. Just kidding.
What dress am I on? Coffee break?
Okay. Madumaga kakiyaw yung tansete takanman. Preservation, like immersion. You think it would work? Immersion, like taking a student in your house in a Michif home and teaching them, you know, like if they want to, like for their holidays, their school holidays, they can go, you know, in a Michif home someplace.
But most of the kids, come summertime, they want to go on these little work jobs in the summertime, and you might notice it, where they get paid for doing it, you know. It's pretty hard for them, you know, at times like that. It have to be done in the school, I think.
But, you know, like, say if it was just to be written unique as the language is, say, it has to be written
as a unique language.
Yeah. It has to be written as a unique language. How do you spell unique? U-N-I-Q-U-E. U-N-I-Q-U-E. It has to be written as a unique language.
It's a good thing they were there.
It has to be written as a unique language. That it is something.
We got baptized.
Oh, good to know. Okay, what I got for written Michif, we need to standardize so we all write the same. It has to be written as a unique language that it is. As the unique language that I'll put the here, my English here. As the unique language that it is. Okay, these two. And what else we're going to write about the written language? But that's the only way we can teach our children. It'll be easier to teach the children if it's written. Right?
Absolutely. And they can learn how to write it too. Because the other languages are almost all set up like that. Like when you're taking the Cree class, it's almost set up like the same way. Yeah, but the sounds are different.
I think it's really exciting. Yeah.
It's different.
It will be easier to teach written. It will be easier to learn to teach if written. I put that there. Anything else you want me to write about the written Michif? But it's a must, eh? I'll put it's important here. What else will I put about the written?
It'll preserve the language. Oh, yeah? Yes.
How would we have to preserve the language?
When we preserve that language, we cannot go using the French dialect, like, we're using some of the words in French as we would say them.
Yeah,
We have to have our own. Like some of our words may sound French, but we gotta just write them different, which is quite important.
Well, what else do they have there? Give me some ideas about what they have there. The language liaison. Well, you got the language down pat.
Yeah.
But do they need someone to...
That's where
It's all about the roof. The book that has to be Michif.
that lady that was showing us that.
She's the one that made up these.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
The description of
Karen.
picture of
Well, we would probably have to work together on something like
Or
this.
something
by
like that,
doing
eh?
research.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Exchanging ideas by doing research. You have to do a lot of research and then work together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything you do costs money to do it,
Yeah.
That's how holds everything back, anyway.
Maybe we want to start saying, we want to start then by I'll make this one the first
You don't
one.
want everybody doing the same thing.
No.
Maybe somebody organizing.
So then the incorporating of would be the first thing, incorporate a body,
Yeah.
right?
I think
The
that's
foremost.
A governing, or it's not governing, it's an overseer. Why don't I just,
Well,
a
you put
working group
executive. You
maybe?
need an executive. That's what you need. So once you get
Well,
incorporated, you get someone to run the school.
Somebody needs to run the show, but they want us to decide whether we want an executive or whether we want a working group or a steering committee or a...
frame of reference.
Well, no matter which way you do it, you're going to have to have on your executive.
Gonna have
No
to,
matter if you work a working group, you're going to have a secretary, you're going to have to finances, and treasurer's going to have to do finances, and treasurer's going to the bookwork.
Governing body.
Governing body.
The governing bodies are going to call it whatever we want, but
Yeah,
it
I don't
all
know.
boils down to the same thing.
Incorporate a governing body and then research and exchange ideas.
So, yeah, because this governing body, then, oh, you don't have to write it down, I think I understand, will tell GDI this is what we need, and then GDI will get the resources and they'll get the ball rolling.
Well, this is the whole purpose of getting this incorporation, so incorporation itself to get these matters.
So then, see, I'm still not totally clear about what we're supposed to be doing here. But resources, books, videos, and tapes. Like this by itself is what is what it is, right? I don't know what they want from me.
Maybe GDI wants
Yeah.
us to ask.
That's what I need to do is ask her, but I don't know where she is.
Where is she?
Gone.
Oh, she's right here.
Okay, that's the one we took pictures, remember? They asked us to have taken, put it on.
You agree that he did?
They can bring it up.
Very good.
On the video.
Yes, you're right.
Karen.
Karen.
Awesome.
Karen. Awesome with that friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get this now.
And when you call me a young girl like that one fellow did this morning, I'll always come.
Okay, young girl.
I say nobody called me young for years.
Okay, tell me what. All we want to know is what exactly are we supposed to do with this list? What do you want from
Like
this
so
list?
say for books, what topics would you want to see in them?
Okay.
And would you want them to have CDs with
That's that. See, we didn't understand it.
yeah, like would you
We
think
got
kids books, cook books, language books, hunting books?
Yeah.
Nature rights.
We got her. We got her case. Thanks.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't here for the start, but I guess I was.
Yeah, you were.
But, see, I'm not sure. See, we're having that national conference next week in Thunder Bay, which is the national with everybody. This is a GDI Saskatchewan initiative, but with speakers invited from out of province. So I don't know what the purpose of this conference is. I don't think it's meant to replace the national one. So the national one will talk about the same things too. See, the results of this meeting should be going to Thunder Bay and saying, here's what was discussed, and adding to the bigger one. And if people want to talk about becoming an association, then it should, if there's a recommendation from here, it should go to the bigger conference. So I mean, I don't know, unless it's an association in Saskatchewan they're talking about.
But
I'm not sure.
But you know
the reason was because
Is that what you want?
we've talked about a Michif language speaking group between pretty well between the two provinces
and then this,
of Saskatchewan and Manitoba, and at the time, because of the Michif language, the national is coming to an end because there'll be no more funding for it. As they're saying, this could be the last one. That's why we wanted to establish a Michif language working group.
Well, it seems to me that it's coming to an end because it's supposed to be another 10 years.
I think that we should say that if there is going to be an association, Michif association, that it should be driven by the national office, because you need those politicians to lobby for funding and to guide us, because there's always going to be a lot of
I gotta take her on. You can speak on. I gotta be quick. I gotta take her on.
I didn't know what I said. I don't know how you.
Well, there should be some kind of speakers. Yeah. And maybe it should be headed by like our educational institutions, like LRI, GDI, wherever. When we start, that's part of the culture, right? Part of the language. But it still has to be under making government in the end, like part of making government, not just different parts of it, but should be not necessarily not politically driven, but by our educational language institutions.
What about this? Like Michif organization should be driven by province and national office of the Métis Nation?
Yeah, but it can be through like LRI.
But it's not fair to say that because only Manitoba and Saskatchewan have institutions, BC doesn't have, Ontario doesn't have.
But they're working towards establishing them.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. But eventually, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So maybe this is the wrong way to say it.
No. It is the Métis Nation.
Yeah. Because you don't want to have the same speakers coming here and then going to the National Michif conferences and competing. It should be a one hall. Gia, Victoria.
Well, that's it. We're talking about association. So I think we should look at the pros and cons because the people.
Yeah, because
Pros and cons of what?
that's
Well, I don't know if we need to say that, but of having an association, because that's what they want to discuss. But maybe, Rosemary, you could explain a little bit to us about the language. Like you're on the task force, there's going to be a continuation, isn't there? Like it's not this year's not the end of funding.
There's going to, we'll probably know more in Thunder Bay, but we had a meeting with Alan Clark and Annie Cruthers, and what they're saying is that the task force they didn't want a central place in Ottawa, and they're not going that way. They're going with the community, and by that what they mean is that they will give the dollars to the national office, and then from there it'll be given down to the same way that we know Cali, but we don't know how much the dollars are, and they wanted a letter from Clem, your office, and from the Michif working group to convince the minister, because that's not the minister's priority. In her speech, she didn't even mention language. And so, no. And so Alan Clark and Annie Cruthers are very optimistic that they could convince her to go to the route where the same way that Alley was, but it won't be called Alley. But we were more comfortable for it to be given to the national and then going to the provinces, because what's going to happen is if you have a proposal base, is that everybody and his dog is going to be applying for a little proposal, and then everybody's going to get a $5,000 proposal, and we're not going to be able to do anything. And so we wanted it to be kept where it's driven down, and we were telling Alan Clark that we are reaching the grassroots people by the way it's being handled right now, and we gave him.
I didn't understand it when he told me. He says, Grace, he said, you have to understand. He says the Michif language is one of the most unique, and he explained to me, there is in one word of Michif, there's two languages in there. There's Michif and there's French and Cree, and he says that's why it's so unique. And he said that's why they're having such a big interest in it. It's one of the most unique languages. And he said in a convention, there was quite a few people in there, and he said, if I was the Prime Minister of Canada, I'd make Michif the first language spoken. This is what he said. And that's how important he thought it was. And he's a professor, he's a linguist, he knows, So I should thank God he was working with me. I was fortunate, that because I didn't think of it that way before, but now
you think of it like that.
oh, I'm strong. You know, I want to be able to help people. You know, to preserve.
My mom grew up too, she never talked English. She hardly know how to talk.
I know your mom, yes. I know your mom. That's my dad's cousin.
Yeah. She hardly talked English.
Yeah. Well, she was from Saint Madeleine. Yeah. Yeah, she's from Saint Madeleine.
My dad was from Saint
She never knew nothing how to sign a poem.
And her mom.
There was
My
lots
mom
of that,
used
you
to
know.
talk French.
My dad was like that. Well, mommy read what she said, not much though. Grade
But she
one
talked
maybe.
to us all the way like that.
Oh, I never
Talk
understood.
hardly English. She could talk English, but
What is
not
that?
that.
Mamma ofta nu kan
She
kriki
couldn't
pi
talk
skröt
that.
och är bland det i what's it.
But if she had to talk
Yeah.
herself, she
Nothing.
could.
Braden kakpicit kakyo sigren kit saki ayo.
Yeah.
Sigren kit na kipet
My
ki
dad
watch
talks
kit
so.
kanan gemna.
Yeah, but on is ici to nane te gi ya les enfants metto e a que no come go but she said go te taka ana you know they start to grasp a little bit, you know. My dad's sister mana
Böyle çesla. Sigren kit skoyo saki kanske chamela peke papi na chamela.
go fix ke then he spark ya to mana, you know. That was funny because yeah.
Wat killer new?
Huh?
Killer new.
Yes. Nima Pakistan, you know, it would be a learning process, you know, when somebody comes into your home and you know you're living in Michif. This person is coming in there and you know, we are warm and they have to want that. You know, we are warm. You know, I'm that student. He's got to be able to want that and the Michif life to grasp that thing right away. Because it works wonders. Those people, when they didn't talk no Michif, how did they grasp so fast? I used to wonder, you know, how are they learning so fast? Because they had an interest. Apo la messe è da piacere, vigima, non niente da fan, we are wow span. Silly folks, you know? Yeah. So kaya miawag na. Really Michif, Yeah. He Michif on it. But only Zang, ladies much. You get really on the tower, you know, Magay go to skate among about that. Their Michif culture and, you know, language, nothing. I think if you're in agreement to that, by preservation, immersion is one of the main things that, you know, and money. It's got to be funding and preservation and government funding. Preservation, I know, immersion in Métis families and funding.
I think we need more funding and a lot of funding to teach our children how to speak the Michif language at home or elsewhere.
Yeah.
Immediate attention in immediate attention.
Yeah, people say, man. This is going to be a gun. In big letters. I think this is what they want. Preservation. No, preservation. No, immersion. And immersion in Métis families, specifically Métis families, and funding, government funding a priority. I think we got to make it like this. I think that's what they want.
That's what they're doing over there.
Yeah. talking, what do you moved up?
No, umawiya pakan. Maga, what are we? Is it okay with what we're saying here? Okay. Immersion in Métis families. And you just, that's all you better do. She said we should have gone.
Where are you from, Miss?
She's working.
St. Lazare. Immersion in Métis family.
Immersion in Métis families and government funding.
Yeah, we moved from St. Lazare in '56. We went to work, and my dad went to Russell then for work in our
Were you related to the guy that used to go JJ?
My dad's brother.
Yeah.
He used to come to Dawson. He used to come to Jim Goose's. Maggie. Louis. You must know Louis, yeah? Louis Goose's.
Louis go, yeah, I know some ghost dance.
Kamaluk makan David.
I don't see him.
JJ used to come down there.
Kamaluk makan David. Takikan kaki better. I know.
They gave us that.
He's here.
Close the meeting.
Meeting, Gary. It's their banquet. Tonight's that banquet.
Oh, yeah. Four.
Okay, Kishpenkwe Pihtuana will take 15 minutes break me going now. Peshege wana o mina Kihtom de Gaya Piek.